Riot Games, the publisher and developer of games we all have played before. If you like MOBAs, they got you covered. If you like FPS, they got you too. Strategy and card games? Here you go. Choose. Oh, you don't play. You watch a lot of series. I see. Well then bam! They got that too. They have games for every taste, and they always make sure that they keep adding more and more content so they can attract as many people as they can. Except for the MMORPG players, the company doesn't have a game for these endangered species. Not yet, at least. In 2020, Riot Games announced their plans on creating an MMORPG that will be set in the same universe as League of Legends. But after that, they went pretty much silent about it. But of course it was huge news and got everyone excited to get to know more about this new MMO Riot was coming up with. Every game they launch is a great success, and this announcement created hope in the hearts of every MMORPG player. A hope that the days of hunger will soon end, and they'll feast once more in the presence of their savior Riot Games. But for now, we can only dream and speculate about the game. Based on what we know from League's universe, everything sounds very exciting to be seen in an actual 3D world. Except we can't get carried away by the hopes and dreams we create in our heads. We have to look into facts, and from that make our own opinion. And the facts I'm bringing in today are that Riot's new MMORPG will be nothing more than a copy of games we already know and played before. If that sounds good or bad, it's going to depend. Like all good research, we'll gather information first in order to reach our conclusion, so by the end of this video, we will know how good or bad this is. So, to start, I know that Riot is owned by Tencent, which is a bigger company that owns a variety of publishers such as the ones from Conan Exiles or even Clash of Clans. But I don't think that's going to be a big factor here, as Tencent pretty much gives them freedom to do their own stuff. The only thing to consider from this is Riot being a huge contributor to Tencent's profits, so they can't just go crazy with ideas. But that would be true even if that wasn't the case. And the reason I'm saying this is because AAA games are getting crazy expensive to be developed. From $135 million for Star Wars Fallen Order to over $300 million for Cyberpunk. So having a bad launch on a brand new game is really as bad as it sounds, meaning that investors would also take their money out of the company, resulting in even greater losses. For a big company such as Riot, this is enough reason for them to stick to what's been working and not take risks in trying to innovate too much. They usually like to leave that out of the box creativity for their partners, to create games like the Runed King, the Mage Seeker, Hextech Mayhem, and a few others almost ready to be launched. This gives Riot the possibility to focus on their big projects while still releasing single-player games, and possibly co-op too. Now, when it comes to these big Riot projects, they all have one thing in common. They are all heavily inspired by other massive games in their respective genre. And it's been like that since their first ever published game, League of Legends, which was inspired by Dota back in 2009. It was Riot's only game for 10 years before they released another game, which this time was heavily inspired by a Dota 2 mod called Auto Chess. This new game was TFT. By now you probably already know where this is going. Legends of Runeterra was the next one to be launched, in 2020, but this time inspired by other card games, Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone. In that same year they also released Project A, which now we know as Valorant, that needless to say, it was heavily inspired by Counter-Strike, with few aspects of Overwatch in between. And with that being said, let's go straight to the point. Can we really say that Riot's MMO is just going to be more of the same with nothing special? Well, we actually can, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be just as bad or boring. If you think about it, all these years that the MMORPG has consolidated itself as a whole gaming genre, there's only so much you can do to make a game considered as an MMO. And people usually don't like changes anyways. So as I mentioned earlier, Riot is not a company that is willing to take risks on their big projects. But maybe saying that it's not going to have anything special could be a bit too much. But what I mean by that is that you can tell what to expect from the game, the familiarity of it. Like all the other MMOs, this one will be no different. Familiar mechanics, equipment tier, skills, talents, because that's what everyone is already used to. And at the same time, it's what works. So, what's really going to make a difference in whether Riot's MMO will be good or not? It's the way they manage the game and the way they decide to apply that into the game for the players. And based on that, I'll say that this MMO is going to set the bar so much higher that the others will need to change and adapt, which is crazy to think, since they would create something so similar to all the existing ones. But the difference is actually that they do it right. And the reason for that is exactly the same as why they are always late to release their games. They wait it out to get the best aspects of the genre, what players like and don't like, and then they add it to their own game. They learn from the mistake of others before doing anything themselves, so you can rest assured that Riot knows what you want. I mean, nothing close to being perfect. They are still a multi-million-dollar company, and profit's more important than everything else. But doing things right for their audience means more people and more revenue. And from what I've seen, it's not common for them to just mess things up. I'm not gonna go over the bad things that have been happening in their games without a proper response from them, such as the scripts in League, because all of their games are still thriving, and I'll risk saying that this doesn't affect their numbers at all. People will just continue playing, there are cheats in every game. So anyways, with all the speculation and hype around these MMO that we know almost nothing about, I just wanted to bring this perspective that we can actually predict most of it based on Riot's previous games. Even for monetization. If they can put a skin in it, they'll add it to the game. You name it. But now as for the final verdict, my guess is that this MMO is going to be the next most played MMO, just like WoW was. So really being a copy of other games from the genre is not bad, as Riot knows how to do it, and they can add their unique touches to it that can make everybody know that it's their game. And we won't need to wait years for the game to get fixed and good, as they already learned from past failures. So final opinion again, the hype will live up to its name. 10 out of 10. That's gonna be it for now. Just a short opinion. Thanks guys. See you next time.